Good morning. Good morning. Shall we stand as we're able and join our gathering hymn, Shall We Gather at the River?
Good morning. Welcome to worship at First Unitarian Church of Portland. We are a multi-generational community with a mission to nurture the individual spirit and together live into beloved community. We're so glad that you are both here in person and joining us online. You may have noticed that the order of service and our slides are out of sync. Reverend Tom was supposed to be preaching today, but spent a night in the hospital. He's back home and recovering. And Reverend Alison has stepped in to cover Reverend Tom, and I have stepped in to cover Reverend Alison as worship assistant. COVID is going around Portland and beyond right now, and we are choosing to mask when we're not at the pulpit. We have masks available out in the narthex, the lobby, if anyone chooses to wear a mask. If you are visiting today or are new to the congregation, please join us for a welcome circle immediately following the service in our side gallery, right over there. Also, we invite our trans, non-binary, and gender-expansive community members to meet for tea time in the Buchanan Reception Hall after the service. And all are welcome to join us below the sanctuary in Fuller Hall for social hour when the service ends. I have several church announcements to share today, all of which are also listed in our e-news. We're nearing the Jewish high holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and we hope that you'll join us to celebrate Rosh Hashanah, or the Jewish New Year, for a 7 p.m. service that includes a homily from Reverend Alison on Wednesday, October 2nd, in the Elliott Chapel. This will be followed by a social hours of apples, honey, and challah to usher in a sweet year to come. The Yom Kippur service will be held on Friday, October 11th, also in the Elliott Chapel. Our fall anti-racism learning circles kick off this week, and there is still room to register. The circles are on Zoom, and you can participate from anywhere. Please see the front steps to learn more about the classes that you can join. Today at 5 p.m., the Music Ministry Transition Team invites you to join a Zoom meeting to share your ideas and thoughts about the qualities and skills you hope we will find in the interim music ministry director. Thank you for your input. If you are here and you have children or youth you would like to sign up for Sunday classes, our learning community registration is still open. And I just have to ask, do any of you still have UU the Vote letters at home? Because if you do, or some of them are here, bring them in today or next Sunday, which is our last day of collecting them in person. And if you have completed letters at home but you can't make it to drop them off at church, please email uuthevote@firstunitarianportland.org so we can get a full count, and we'll instruct you for what to do with your letters. And finally, the Elliott Chapel 100-year anniversary celebration kicks off next Sunday with a program featuring stories from members of our community. Join us at 12:15 in the Elliott Chapel as we learn about and celebrate this history together. So now let's take a few moments to greet each other here, and if you're online, you can say hello on the chat. Great. Nice to hear the buzz. Nice to hear the buzz in this space, and please join us afterward for the social hour. And Alison is going to light our chalice here in the sanctuary, and we hope that you will join us as we say, "We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love."
Our invocation this morning is number 453 from our hymnal, and it is taken from the Jewish tradition, and it is a continued chalice lighting. May the light that we have kindled inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, and to serve you, Spirit of freedom, Spirit of love. Our responsive reading is Have Patience by Rilke. Have patience with everything unresolved in your heart and to try to love the questions themselves, as if they were locked in rooms or books written in a very foreign language. Don't search for the answers which could not be given to you now, because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps then, someday, far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer. And now, will you rise in body or spirit, and let us sing together our doxology.
Spirit Good morning. My name is Sue Palmlitter, and a highlight of the week, every week for me, is when together with other First UU congregants, I meet our neighbors at our church's homegrown 13 Salmon Shower project. Dave and Sarah are going to share why volunteering for this meaningful church project has been an important part of our lives.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Schur, and I'm a regular volunteer with the Shower Project. I want to tell you that of all the volunteer jobs I've done over the last several decades, this is one of my favorites. We offer direct and necessary help and comfort to people who really need it. A warm shower to get clean, a calm and safe place to just drink a cup of coffee, a chance for a new clean set of clothing. For someone living on the street, these things really matter. Showers and clean clothes are important to the basic health of our program guests. Living on the streets can be hard on a body, and being clean is vital to them avoiding infection and illness. And a shower and clean clothes just help people feel good. So often we hear our guests say things like, "I'm so glad you guys are here," and "Thank you, this really helps." We serve a diverse group of guests, including people of color and members of the LGBTQ community. Having a clothing program where people with a wide range of gender expressions feel respected as they pick out a new set of clothes, this is a great way to live our UU values in the world. And most every week we turn people away because we're full. With more volunteers and resources, we could potentially be open more hours and serve more people. What we're doing is important. Please help in any way you can. Thanks.
My name is Dave Hoffman, and I am also a regular volunteer in support of the Shower Project. I never realized how rewarding both personally and spiritually my volunteering effort was going to be by providing services of a shower, food, and clothing to the homeless population in and around First U. The term beloved community has taken on a whole new meaning for me. I consider all those served and all those not served to date a part of our beloved community. As Sarah has said, we serve the entire homeless community. Yes, indeed, all are welcome here. Their smiles and thanks that we receive says it all. But I need to thank them as well for opening my eyes and heart to those who are experiencing homelessness on our streets here in Portland. To date, we've served close to 400 people, being opened only 4 hours on every Wednesday. There are many more we could serve, but we need your help in making that a reality. For more information on how to be a volunteer or how you can support our efforts with in-kind donations, visit with us after service in Fuller Hall at the Coho/Shower Project table. Thank you all for your support to date.
It is our practice to share our offering each week with a community organization that reflects our congregation's mission. And for September, we are sharing our plate with the 13 Salmon Shower Project. I don't need to add more to what our fine volunteers just shared, but do want to emphasize that we are committed to ensuring that every guest feels welcome, secure, and treated with dignity. If you'd like to give here, our QR code will appear shortly. And if you are online, you can also use the donate button on Boxcast. And for those of you in person who want to contribute by cash or check, ushers will be coming around shortly. Thank you so much for your generosity, which sustains the ministry of this church. we make space in each service to name our community concerns. Pastoral support happens each week through our ministers and our lay ministers. And if you're here in person and you have a prayer request, you can light a candle in one of our side galleries and write down your intention there. And you can also send your intention for prayer to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. Member Marilyn McFarland died on Wednesday, September 18th, at the age of 86. Marilyn was a prolific writer of books on travel and cooking, among other subjects. Her book, Sacred Stories, shared wisdom from the world's religions and was popular in our own bookstore. We hold Marilyn's husband, John Parkhurst, and their daughters, Kathy, Alison, Cindy, and Laura Lee, at this time of loss. The family plans to have a memorial service at a future date. Please join me in a spirit of prayer. And I invite you to notice your breath as we arrive here in this moment together. Spirit of love and compassion, we gather today with gratitude for our community of care. We offer our presence and love for those who carry sorrows, both spoken and unspoken. May all who are grieving at this time feel comfort in knowing your loss is held by our congregation. And all who are ill or living with health challenges, please know our love is with you. Spirit of life, as we cross the threshold of the equinox, the turning of the seasons from summer to autumn, may we find balance. This time of transition holds so much. Recognition of loss of the long days of summer, savoring of the fall harvest, and wonder in changing colors and light of the seasons. May we shed resentments and remorse as gracefully as the trees soon will shed their leaves. And may our letting go of pain and suffering be turned over into the rich compost that nourishes new beginnings. Spirit of belonging, may this community be a place of healing and generosity, a place of welcome where we recognize our humanity in each person who enters, a place of humility where we recognize our own failings with compassion and offer ourselves and others forgiveness. Spirit of transformation, may we be present to the ever-changing nature of life, greeting each new day with love and openness. May we give our heart space to grow, to revel in the great mysteries, to dance with the energies of change and creation, to grieve our losses fully, and to be whole. May it be so. Amen. So let's take a few moments for silent meditation. You can remain seated as we join our voices to sing, "May Your Life Be as a Song." Our reading this morning is by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt, entitled Entering a New Year. When the list of school supplies arrives, my heart skips a beat. I'm not ready. How can I be surprised? I've known all along how 1 month follows the next, but kindergarten looms. Not though for the 5-year-old. Time renews itself every time he opens his eyes. When the days of awe appear again on the horizon, my heart skips a beat. I'm not ready. How can I be surprised? I've known all along how the spiral of the year recycles and into beginning again. Another summer yields with less or more grace to fall, and I do too. Sometimes my gears grind. I wish tomorrow would come sooner or yesterday would return. I blink and a month disappears. Where was I? How can I be surprised? I've known all along without my attention, next new moon won't be the world's birthday, just a night with less light. And this impossibly precious moment, when I could be cupping my hand to the side of your face with tenderness, gone like the numbers on a digital clock. But if I stop to see what's in front of me and choose the blessing in it, if I sanctify the threshold between now and what comes after now and after now, then every moment gleams, infinite, as the love which links your heart and mine.
Well, some of you may notice that my voice is a little bit different today, and we'll see how long it holds out, but I am so grateful to serve on a multi-minister team and to be able to step up for Tom, and I know Tom. He's at home watching right now. So let's send him all of our well wishes. May you continue to recover well and rest well, because I think you're going to show up at the meeting after this too, so take a break. So here are my thoughts on one day's notice. Let me begin with a parable connected to our theme of the year, Join the Journey, told by Rabbi Chaim of Sons. A man had been wandering in the forest for several days, not knowing which was the right way out. Suddenly, he saw a man approaching him. His heart was filled with joy. Now I shall certainly find out which is the right way, he thought to himself. When they neared one another, he asked the man, "Brother, tell me which is the right way. I have been wandering in the forest for several days." Said the other to him, "Brother, I do not know the way out either. For I too have been wandering about here for many, many days. But this I can tell you, do not take the way I have been taken, for that leads one astray. But now let us look for a new way." I have been thinking that this is the perfect parable for this season of turning in the Jewish calendar. And I'm also thinking of it as an invitation to our community as we imagine the new journey before us this year. You may have heard about or experienced Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, or Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. These holidays are the days, and the days in between are known as the holiest days in the Jewish calendar, called the Days of Awe. What some of you may not have heard as much about is about the practice of the 30 days of preparation throughout the month of Elul, which is the final month of the Jewish calendar, the one we are in right now. The mood of Elul is about introspection and renewal. It is about beginning the work of Heshbon HaNefesh, literally an accounting of the soul, or taking stock of the road we have traveled over the past year, and also looking ahead and reflecting on how this year could be different as we seek to undertake newer, different, or more healing actions and interactions in our lives. Elul is a month that involves a number of practices, including visiting the graves of loved ones. It is a chance to reflect upon the legacies that we have inherited and the ways that we hope to build upon or to counter those legacies with the time that we have left, and especially in the year ahead. It is a resonant time right now to honor endings and beginnings, as it is the fall equinox. In fact, that happened at 5:45 or so this morning. It is the moment of the year where we reach equal balance of 12 hours of darkness and 12 hours of light. A chill can be felt in the air in the mornings and the evenings, portending the colder months, and temperatures on a sunny afternoon can climb as high as any summer day. The shorter days and longer nights bring us indoors more often for a season of learning and growth in school, at work, in church, in all places. Summer's end is also the start of something new. At this turning of the year in the Jewish tradition, a concept of a cosmic balance between acts of goodness and acts of harm is especially present in both our individual lives and our collective living here on earth. There is a sense that every act we initiate, and whether it supports more abundant life or supports destruction, has the power to tip the balance of the whole world. We are often the person or the people wandering through the forest, not knowing exactly how what we do and where we go will make a difference. Something may lead to good things happening at first, and later we learn that it was contributing to harm as a bigger picture comes into focus. Each one of us contributes good actions. Each one of us is capable of making mistakes and doing harm. And each of us is capable of doing the work of repair, especially when we, like the folks in the parable, come together, listen deeply to what each has experienced and learned, and begin to imagine what it is like to move together in a communion of joy and struggle towards that spirit of love and freedom. Right now, our country and even parts of our church are struggling with polarization, positing that some people or their actions are purely good, while others have been purely harmful. There are so many reasons why this is so, but I can't help but notice as we deal with another wave of COVID that the physical separation we experienced for such a long time meant that many of us who were being cautious to promote the well-being of humanity just weren't around people who thought differently than us. No one voted for the other guy in my household during the pandemic. And I didn't encounter people in the way that I do in my ordinary life. We retreated to the echo chambers that are so prevalent in the online world. And maybe we got a little rusty on the tools of how to be together, even through conflict in our neighborhoods, in our congregations, in our cities, and so on. Staying home was important, and still, by the way, is important if you have symptoms, quite frankly, of any illness for your sake or for others. But learning how to hike together rather than all the hiking alone that so many did for 2 years or more is vital. At ministers' gatherings, when we first returned from the pandemic and met in person again, people would comment, people have forgotten how to church. And then inevitably, someone would chime in, people have forgotten how to people. The point is that we have to be extra mindful that after a period where we were isolated or existed in individual or potted silos, that our perspective will be limited. And the more that our experience doesn't overlap with another person, the more different our understandings may be. For example, I referenced staying at home, but that was a privileged position during the pandemic. Many on the front lines, such as healthcare workers and grocery store employees, found themselves having to be out in the world and exposed to what was happening in those spaces. The pandemic was about a multiplicity of perspectives and recognizing that we need to zoom out and be more inclusive to understand and see how many travelers there are on the road. Where I lived in New Jersey, it wasn't as simple as staying home saved lives. I served on the district Equity and Inclusion Committee, and it turned out that shutting down our schools led to children being abused more often at home and going hungry. That's one reason that our public schools reopened sooner than in some other parts of the country. And soon teachers who were older than their students and more vulnerable than their students were on the front lines while the students were safer. There was an online school for vulnerable students and also more vulnerable teachers. Part of what fuels polarization in politics and in our professional and personal lives is the impact of Protestant Christianity and how it permeates our culture and way of thinking. Now let me state clearly, I disagree with all of the Christian nationalists who are attempting to return the country to a Christian nation, which it never was, and that was never in the imagination of the founding fathers. That they posited a kind of pluralism and religious freedom as the bedrock of our democracy, and yet they too were influenced by culturally Christian ideals, whether of a more conservative or liberal stripe. One challenge with the conservative Protestant Christianity that first arrived on our soil and that has always competed with a more open path is that it separates the world into those who are damned and those who are saved. People who are viewed as wholly good and destined for heaven, or wholly rotten and destined for hell. And as much as we strive to move away from this, especially us who are universalists, as we celebrated last Sunday, even we can fall prey to this kind of thinking. We have to be mindful of the arrogance that would have us assume that our side is totally in the right while the other side is totally in the wrong. We also have to recognize that even as we move towards what we believe to be healing actions for the majority of our people, even when they prove to be healing actions for the majority of our people, it may cause suffering for some. Think of the school example I just shared earlier. When we closed our churches and workplaces and schools to protect the vulnerable, which was the right thing to do, it did harm to people for whom home was not a safe place. That didn't mean we went right back. However, it did mean that learning about the harm, we could begin to do the work of repair and healing. It was quickly that the clergy council that I served on figured out that many of our families who were food insecure would be in trouble if the weeks continued as they were. So we got together and worked with the school district and impacted families and figured out a way to get meals to our students who needed them and to get the extra meals that were not being eaten by some students, like my child, to their parents or whoever was at home with them throughout the rest of the school closures. I think we need spiritual antidotes to the notion that one side is on the side of complete righteousness while the others are on the side of everything rotten. As excited as I am for one of the presidential candidates to win, they don't represent a perfect side. In the end, my goal is not a road of one side winning anyhow. It is my hope to learn with you how to move along the road where more and more of us feel that we are included in abundant life. We never had to choose between the health of our elders and the well-being of children. That is a false dichotomy. We can choose both. And yes, even in that choice, there is still often someone or people that we haven't figured out how to support yet. We are building the capacity to co-create the beloved community. We are moving, but are not nearly there yet. One spiritual antidote to the idea of sinners and saints, or my side is God's side, or the right side, is the concepts of Judaism, which is another tradition that posits that heaven is not a gated community. You heard that here today. Heaven is not a gated community. While there is a great variation in Jewish theologians and thinkers about the afterlife, or if it even exists, concepts of hell and condemnation as understood by Orthodox Christians don't fit with the Jewish traditions of God's mercy. They're also universalists. However, it is the Jewish understanding of human nature that I think can be a beneficial conversation partner for an area of growth for us as UUs. We tend to focus on, at times, on an overly optimistic understanding of human nature. And in part, it's because we're countering an overly pessimistic understanding of human nature that come from more Orthodox Christians. There is a concept in Judaism about human nature that is a helpful correction or addition. Alongside of the inherent worth of every person and alongside our steadfast belief that we can choose wisely, we can pair the concepts of Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Hatov, the inclination to choose evil, although I'm going to nuance that in a minute, and the inclination to choose the good. The word evil here is more about the tendency that lies in the human heart to move towards self-gratification. And if it's unchecked, it could lead us to fulfill cravings for pleasure or property or security or ego that lead us towards addictions or practicing greed or practicing disrespect or other destructive impulses. But it isn't unchecked. It exists alongside the inclination towards the good or the tendency to be more altruistic, to give and to want to help others. You see, when these two aspects work in harmony, they are what allow us to form attachments that are healthy and practices that lead to sustainability. The balance between these two inclinations is the force that leads to community, one of our chief aims. Here, we experience the pleasure of being together. Here, we experience wonderful things. And here, we also give and help one another. And sometimes in the balance is conflict, but that's what it takes to build the beloved community. I know that right now some members of our church choirs are hurting, even as others have requested the changes that have happened. It is true that we as your leaders, the executive team, and the board have taken steps that caused grief for some, even if on balance, the navigating that we have done together is in the interest of moving towards less harm and more healing. Our church was being harmed and our staff team was being harmed by an investment in moving through the forest separately, each of us in our silos, not knowing what others were experiencing. Over the course of the 2 years I have been here, on the staff team, we have made moves to practice de-siloing, which was very hard at first, given it how practiced people were at operating apart, especially through the pandemic. But over the last year and in the last couple of months, we have been moving more and more towards one another, meeting in collaborative groupings, cross-pollinating, and beginning the work of covenanting. We have scheduled October 1st as our chance to create the first right relations promises for the staff team in the history of this church. This effort means that each of us is learning more and more about the view from the other side, and we're creating a structure that is dismantling what was promoting harm and opening to one where harm can be named, addressed, and dealt with, and where generativity is possible because we are co-creating this reality towards openings on the path towards love. And you and I and all of us are learning the same through the listening circles and the music ministry transitions team work. That is also going to move us from silos to one community made of intertwining parts. This is an important piece. And as I mentioned in my August sermon and from my own experience in other places, we have need of a right relations team. And it's so clear from the listening circles that you agree. So that is on the horizon as well, because the board is in unanimous support. We are moving forward in ways that will germinate health. Again, like the staff, allow us to name and repair the harms we have caused in the past, and even the harms we have caused one another on the way to health. One thing I'll mention is that it is important, and I invite you to stick to a transparent process created by accountable leaders, the board, your ministers, the lay ministers who are elected and appointed through a deliberate process, and not to get sidetracked by a group that is self-appointed, that comes from a segment of one part of our congregation who is breaking the behavioral norms of our covenant. And I want to say something. They feel harmed. I'm not trying to demonize them. I believe we're on different roads trying to find our way towards love. Whether they come out with positive ideas or not, it isn't covenantal to behave like a shadow board and to call meetings without at least attempting to work with our board. Our board and our ministers are open to having conversations about the future and moving down more inclusive, holistic paths. In fact, we're so excited to share some of the fruits of the board retreat this summer about moving towards more inclusive governance, as I've experienced in both smaller and larger congregations than this one. And we want to hear your ideas. Beyond the listening circles will be mission and vision and strategic planning work. And there will be more listening circles too. I especially ask that the religious education wing be off limits. Our children were leafleted last week, and so were our parents. And it was terribly demoralizing to the RE staff and to the children. And they are struggling with their own feelings of anger, as I know others are. But let us come together in constructive, transparent ways, and I know we can. Again, we all have the capacity to be harmed and do harm, sometimes both at the same time. But the good news of this month of Elul and the high holy days on the horizon is that we also have the ability to do the work of repair and reconciliation if we begin to move together, to listen deeply and to trust one another. We can practice new ways. A congregation that's been around since 1866 has plenty of practice doing things in a new way. The temptation to continue to move in silos is understandable, but let's all please do better for the sake of our community. This season is a chance for all of us to ask, how have we strayed from the path of healing? How can we unlearn the habits that perpetuate harm? It is the way forward. It is how we build a community that places love at its center. And I'll end with this prayerful story. A rabbi once asked his students how they could tell when night had ended and day was on its way back. Is it when you can see an animal in the distance and can tell whether it is a sheep or a dog? No, answered the rabbi. Is it when you can look at a tree in the distance and tell whether it is a fig tree or a peach tree? No. Well, then, the students demanded, when is it? It is when you look in the face of another human being and see that they are your sibling or cousin. Because if you cannot do that, no matter what time it is still night. May we move in ways that sing awake the dawn, friends, and may the light dance in our hearts in the night and in our sanctuary and in our lives. May it be so, and amen. And now in our going, may the light of love bless us and keep us. May it shine down upon us. May it be gracious unto us. May it radiate out from within us. And may it make each one of us healers, community builders, repairers of what has been breached. For this is the day that you and I are given. So let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.